Hey, my name is Corey David. Welcome to a special edition of the Mile High Update. We figured it would be fun to mix the show up a little bit, and you're pretty sick of seeing my face at this point, so I wanted to introduce first guest on the show, Dr. Kevin Fitzgerald, man.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's this?
This is Mrs. Thompson.
Yeah.
She's my vice president.
Yeah, not camera shy,
No,
by the looks
no,
of it.
No.
Well, happy to have her on the interview as well. So just, I'm familiar with you and some of your work, but could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and, your experience with animals and maybe a little bit about comedy?
Well, I'm a Libra.
That's good.
So,
Does that mean you're a liar? I never keep up with my zodiac signs.
No, I'm well balanced.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A giver
so,
and a taker in the same regard.
So I'm just a Denver kid. I grew up here, not too far from this house, and I've been in private practice for 37 years at a hospital here in Denver.
Yeah.
And we see anything the streets of Denver can spit up at us.
Yeah, which is probably quite a bit, I'm sure. Now, you've been a veterinarian for how long now?
I've been there 37 years.
37 years. And you've done some pretty amazing stuff. You've been on like Animal Planet, Discovery Channel, things like that, right?
Well, we were lucky. We had a show on Animal Planet for 11 seasons.
Wow.
And so at the very beginning of the reality TV boom, so one of the first ones, and at that time Animal Planet had us and the Crocodile Hunter. And that was about it.
That was about it?
That was about it.
Yeah. So. In addition to being a vet, you're a comic. You've been doing comedy for over 20, 30, how long now? You've been in the comedy scene for a long time.
Yeah, I've been doing comedy for 35.
That's a long time.
Long time.
Yeah, that is a while.
And because of the coronavirus, I haven't worked in 4 weeks, and audiences have been delighted.
Yeah. So I know you haven't been able to go out and do comedy. Have you still been able to write some jokes like while you've been in? Have you been doing stand-up sets for Mrs. Thompson here?
Well, being homebound like this reminds me of being homeschooled. My mother would say, "Class starts when The Price is Right is over."
Yeah, that's fair.
So you write jokes. You try and come up with things that you think, but it's hard in front of it, not in front of it.
No reaction.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mrs. Thompson, and she thinks that she was named after my computer password. My last girlfriend dropped breadcrumbs so she could find her way out of our relationship. Let's see. There was a monster under my bed. My dad claimed it as a dependent. A sick pig came into the veterinary hospital. I told him, "It's your ribs. They're delicious." Stop serving Cheetos near the petting zoo. Orange llama my ass. People talk about activewear. I'm going to try and get money in inactivewear.
Please.
For people. It's not a great joke.
I've been wearing nothing but activewear for about 2 weeks now.
It's been busy.
This just looks like formal attire for you, though.
Well, you gotta be functional and I think comfortable.
Yeah, that's a good combination of things. You're a Libra. It's balanced.
Well balanced. That's right. That's right.
Who would win in a fight, a house cat or Joe Biden? You think?
Oh, if Biden could remember.
If he actually happened, just wakes up the next morning with a scratch on his face.
I only did one Joe Biden joke. It was just like Joe Biden playing charades, where it's like 2 words. I forgot them.
So one of the things we wanted to talk to you about today is what animals people could buy, or if they wanted to adopt a new friend, quote unquote, like you'd said about your statistic. During this time in quarantine, what are some good animals that they could potentially get right now that would be good quarantine pets?
I think that you should research about the animal that you're interested in and find out, does it fit your lifestyle? Mm-hmm. Because are you gone a lot, or does it need special requirements? This is you're holding a ball python, a great starter snake for children, and gentle and interesting, and another form of life called ball python, because when they're scared they go into this ball, and they're gentle, and snakes are interesting. 2,700 species of snakes, and the newest reptile, and they say lower vertebrate, but interesting. They've lost limbs and have come on this tubular lifestyle, and so they have lidless eyes. I think they creep people out because they don't blink.
Yeah, sure.
And so
well, don't you find that also kind of creepy?
Oh,
if you were on a date with somebody, Kev,
and they didn't blink, or they blinked too
once,
much.
Would you imagine? You're just like, you're a lizard in human skin.
That's
you're not
right.
even like a real person.
That's right.
How big will this guy get?
These guys don't get particularly big. They'll thicken this one, and this one's called a pastel. And this snake is owned by my friend Rachel, one of the technicians at the hospital, one of the great heroes that I work with.
Now, why a pastel? Does it have to do with the coat?
Yeah, they're so bright and brilliant.
Yeah, the color is beautiful. It just shed, right?
Yeah. So these guys are they're carnivores. There's no vegetarian snakes, and so you do have to feed them and decide whether you're going to, right from the jump, feed killed or live prey.
Yeah. Do you feel like more predators should be vegans to make the world a better place, or are they just going to keep doing their thing?
Well, I don't know. I'm a vegetarian, but I eat fish and chicken.
Okay.
And I eat beef and pork.
So essentially the worst the worst vegetarian ever.
Yeah.
All right, so the other animal that we've got here today is an axle rose, I think.
Axle rose, an axolotl.
An axolotl.
One
One
of the most amazing forms of life. Amphibians, both and bio lives. So two lives on land and in the water. First on the water and then out onto land. But these are amphibians, and so they're amazing.
Oh.
And so they have they breathe through their skin, so they have lungs and gills. They kind of.
I mean, this is an alien-looking kind of creature.
they-
Where do you find these guys?
Well, I mean, there's so many other forms of life on. Now these guys can regenerate limbs. So if
so
we
you can lop off like an arm or something, and it'll
if we
grow
could
back.
figure out, lizards can do tails, but these guys can do limbs. And if we could find out how they do it, imagine what we could do with surgery. So this is axolotl, and these are Mexican salamanders, and we have our tiger salamander right here in Colorado.
Well, no wonder these ones have a little bit more flair. They've got some Hispanic quality to them.
Yeah, but all these animals deserve a place at the big table.
Yeah, absolutely.
All these different species, and so I think that it's up to us. It's up to us, and I think that when a species goes extinct, the world becomes a less interesting place.
Yeah.
And so
Becomes more of the same.
And so we didn't we didn't inherit this world. We borrowed it from our children, and we need to protect it for the next generation. Otherwise, my joke was, I hope that when people disappear, we leave a nice world for the robots.
We got somebody on the loose.
Yeah.
So at Mile High Update, we came up with this theory that one of the symptoms of COVID-19 is actually turning into a werewolf. Because I don't know if you've heard, every night at 8 p.m., people have been going out onto their porches and howling at the moon. What's the likelihood that anybody that has COVID-19 will turn into a werewolf? And if they are bit by a werewolf, what should they do?
Well, I don't believe in werewolves. I believe in sharknado.
Okay, that's fair. What's the likelihood that we could experience?
Well, the sharknado could really happen if we
at
could.
any time, right?
Because if you look at it scientifically, the NATO goes into the water and pulls up the sharks and then comes back on the land.
Makes sense.
And it has so much water that they could breathe. And if they got into sewage systems or into lawns where they're sprinkling, and it could be different NATO. It could be a dog NATO.
So low likelihood that somebody would turn into a werewolf.
Low. Higher sharknado. Here's werewolves here, sharknado high. What people should know about COVID and pets is that, if a person tests positive, we should keep their animals away from them and then quarantine those animals and stay away from them because they could potentially pass it on to other animals. But at least right now, we don't have any evidence that it's transmitted from animals to people.
In your experience, have you ever had an encounter that made you think Bigfoot was real?
That's a great question.
Thank you. I only have good questions.
That's an excellent question. It's finally a good question. And so, no. They sent me, from the USDA, some pictures to see if I could tell if it was a Bigfoot, if I really thought what I thought. Some photographs. I'm not saying it was fake, but you could see the zipper in the pockets. They sent me a mermaid too to do an autopsy on. Poor thing got washed up on the beach. It was 50% human, 40% fish, and 10% plastic from the oceans.
That's
made me so sad.
That's not a good ratio of things to be.
Oh, we need to do it. We need to.
headdress?
The plastic from all the pop bottles and stuff.
No, I know,
we
but
need
it was
them.
like it got caught on her head.
I see what you're going for.
All right, so in an apocalyptic scenario, if you were to pass away and you died in your house, how many weeks do you think it would take for your dogs to start eating you?
Well, it doesn't take long.
Well, Dr. Kev, thank you so much for joining us
No,
today.
thanks for all you do for
Really
animals.
really
No.
appreciate you coming on
No,
the show, man.
we didn't tell enough jokes.
I know. Well, that's our fault.
Okay.
Actually, that's mostly my fault. I
No,
think.
no.
You're responsible for the animal stuff. I'm responsible for the
Okay.
teeing you up for some jokes. But either way, had a great time talking with you guys, and really appreciate bringing the animals and having us over at your house. Thanks, Mrs. Thompson.
No, you're always welcome.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks. Have a great night. How's it look?
Looks good.
You're quite the